Hey, this is Neci and you are tuned into Unveiling with Neci. In this podcast, I want to share some of my life experiences that incorporate both personal growth and how I overcame some challenges I faced on my journey to a more peaceful life. I strongly believe in the saying, each one teach one, because everyone has some lesson or advice that can lead to personal or professional growth in another. I want to use this platform to invite friends, family, and friends that will eventually become family to share their lived experiences as well. Stories will be shared about my personal experiences in relationships, friendships, and hardships that made me into the woman I am today. There will be difficult conversations and there will also be easy ones, but the difficult ones are what I love to share. Through difficult conversations, we can find answers that we never knew we wanted. These answers bring us both peace and some level of acceptance, in my opinion. So come on a journey with me as I create space not just to release through conversations, but to also have you as my listeners take something away at the end of the discussions. Hi guys, this is Necian and you are tuned into Unveiling with Neci. Right now I'm like a kid in a candy store with my podcast set up. I am so excited to kickstart my podcast. So yes guys, welcome and thank you so much for being here. I wanted to kickstart this podcast, but I was like, wait, you do not know me. Maybe you do, but how well do you know me? Do you know me from Fern Grove Basic School? Do you know me from Ocherius Primary School? Do you know me from Knox College? Do you know me from Brownstone Community College? Do you know me from Brownstone Community College School of Nursing? Or do you know me because we used to work together at the University Hospital of the West Indies? How well do you know me though? You see me, but do you really know me? And that is what I am going to start off with. This is how I want to kick it off. This is how I want to share my happiness, my journey, and not just my journey, my friend's journey with you, because I always believe in each one teach one, right? And that is basically my motto through life. Like, I do not gatekeep. If I know how to do something, I am going to tell you how to do it, okay? I am not going to hide things from you. I think that we can all become great in our own little way. I think we're all in our own lane, and I think a lot. I think a lot. But I honestly think that we can all grow together and we can all do amazing things. We just have to put our minds to it and we have to find a time for it. So if you're going to do it, just do it. And that is what I'm doing right now with my podcast called Unveiling with Neci. Let's get to know me a little bit. I am from a small touristy town called Ocherius in the parish of St. Anne on a beautiful island called Jamaica. So growing up, I think I was mostly slotted into that lower middle class slot. My mom is a craft trader. She's still a craft trader. And my dad at the time was working on a cruise ship. So I wouldn't say that I grew up poor. I wouldn't say I know what hunger felt like. I just know that there was a lot of times that I had to just go without. And when I say go without, it's not going without certain necessities in life, because there's actually people that don't have certain necessities, right? But more like going without something that you did not it's not a want. Anything I had was a need. And that is how my mom raised us. This was my mom's take on it. Basically, anything that I'm providing clothes, food, shelter. You know, you would get few things here and there like toys and accessories and stuff like that growing up. But for the most part, it wasn't something that was abundantly there, meaning that I did not have 5 dolls. My brother didn't have 5 trucks or a big toy room. You know, our play area was outside. And for most Jamaicans in my age group, most of our playtime was outside. And you know, we can think about like kids growing up. If you have kids now like myself, like my daughter is so addicted to her tablet. Most people, you would think that, you know, would spend more time outside doing a lot of things, playing with our kids and stuff, but life gets so busy. And I'm going to be deep diving in all these different things. I don't want to stray too far because my brain will definitely do that. But growing up in Jamaica really set a foundation for me before I actually moved to the United States. I grew up in Jamaica. I went to Otrius Primary School, and then I passed my GSAT and I went to my first choice, which was Knox College. Mind you, I did not know Knox beforehand. My mom knew it. Like, she knew I had a cousin going there and she thought it was just a good school. I would love to sit and talk to my mother about that, like how she felt about that. But, you know, let's see if we can get my Jamaican mother to come on this and talk about that. But yeah, when I passed my GSAT and I found out that I was going to Knox, of course, everybody is going to be excited when you pass for your first choice. My American friends are like, what you mean by that? But yeah, it's like an exam that you do in Jamaica and other CARICOM countries, and that is how they place you in your high school. Layman terms, okay? I'm not gonna go into details about that. But when I passed for Knox, it was a bittersweet because I had friends that were going to go to York Castle, or people that were going to go to Hilda's, or people that were going to go to Westwood. So it's like you were in a class with everyone, and then everybody kind of split off and gone all these different schools. And that's why I say it's bittersweet, because you thought in your mind, for some reason I thought, oh my God, all of us are just going to transition together. In my mind, I was like, we're all going to transition together into high school and it's just going to be amazing and fun and whatever. But that did not happen. But anyways, when I found out and I was in that bittersweet moment, there was one guy, Byron, that I said Byron, like in name just popped up in my head and I was like, yeah, Byron. But Byron and I were in grade 6 together and we both passed for Knox. So that was good. Like, there is a familiar face that I will see that was not like, you know, in this big high school. But yeah, after Otrius Primary School, went to boarding school. I'm going to invite some of my girlfriends from boarding school so we can deep dive into that as well. But went to boarding school, had an amazing time. I can say amazing time right now, but during it, it was a hard knocks life, okay? Boarding school is not for the weak. Boarding school is not for the weak. It's not for any and everybody to go to. It can make you or it can break you. In my case, it did make me, and it made a lot of my friends, because we turned out pretty awesome. Like, most of my friends that we all went through high school up to grade 11, graduated together, are doing amazing things. And not just boarding, but like people that were in my year group, we are all doing amazing things. And I'm so proud of so many of my friends. Going through boarding school, I have learned so much from just being my own person, learning how to be alone from an early age was really good. And when I say be alone, there was times on campus when my friends are busy doing other things, and you know, sometimes you just want to just be by yourself. Like, I could sit over by the pool area, or I could sit over by the basketball court, the netball court. There was so many places on campus that you can just sit and just chill by yourself. And from an early age, I've learned how to do that. And I was happy for that because maybe if I went to high school in my hometown, I would not have the time to even sit down by myself. I would be so caught up with the friends around me or the new friends that I'm making and just making people, meeting people in town, in Otra's town, and hanging out and constantly be stimulated by people. But in boarding school, you had a lot of rules and restrictions. It's not like because you're on campus, you can come off and go down in a Spalding Stone. That was not how it worked. So in boarding school, there was a lot of rules and restrictions, and that taught me how to follow certain things. Like, I'm not saying, some people are like, oh, we have too much rules in life. Sometimes rules is necessary. And in our case, growing up in boarding school, there was rules, and the rules were very much necessary. And because of that, I am the person I am today. I am toxically independent. When I say I can do all things, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay? So so I never think there's never something that I've wanted to do and I've never done it. And I give all that to boarding school. Like, I learned a lot about me and sitting in me, being me. I've learned a lot of just how to love myself and stand up for myself. I'm not like loud about standing up for myself, but I think doing by being there and not having your mom present, but more of a mother figure there, and still being able to respect that mother figure and still have other teachers around that were mothers and fathers away from home did do something for me. So I applaud Knox for being a part of raising me in a sense, right? And as I said, guys, I'm going to talk more about boarding school and how it shaped me, and not just me, but my other friends in the people we are now, right? So, yeah. So, boarding school, went through Knox, then graduate, got through Knox. I was like a pilgrim through Knox. Did not have a clique. I did not have a group of girls. I did not have a group of guys I would say I walk with, but I was very much present in class, and I talked to people, but there was not something to say, oh, a Neci group that or Neci clique that. No, like there was not that. I talked to any and everybody, right? So I always tell myself, like, I was like a little pilgrim through Knox. Me just go through, right? And although I thought I was not memorable to some people, I guess I was, because when I left high school and people would talk to me after when I'm going to come see and stuff, they would talk about me and how me did this and that and whatever. I not this and that, like me never ray, me did very quiet and stuff. So it was nice to have people say, you were a role model to them and stuff like that. And I was like, me, let's hold me. And honestly was just being myself, and that's the good thing. Like, I was not following a crowd, wanted to be in a crowd, and I wasn't forcing myself into circles that were not for me. And I am grateful that I did not have to be that person. No. Going into college, different thing. I think I forced myself into some groups that definitely was not me, but because there was familiar faces in some of these groups, I did try to be friends and try to stay da da da. But I digress. um that have taught me a lot about friendships, even now in adulthood. That have taught me a lot about friendships and who can you trust and who actually is looking out for you. So when I went to college, it was like an eye opener for a lot of things. But as I said, going through boarding school, I was pretty much okay with just my loneliness, right? Um, so I don't know what drove me in college to try to force myself into a group or whatever. But I kind of just felt even more alone trying to be in a group. And then dealing with different relationships and learning how to maneuver relationships. And then this is where I think college is where sex started. And, you know, I was like new to sex and new to dating and realizing how aggressive some grown ass men are and how terrible, 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 terrible people can be for your mental, right? So it is so interesting how I transitioned from boarding school and now living at home and going to college because my mom was like, look here, you're not going nowhere. You're not gonna know Yui, take it off of your head. She really told me. She really, really told me that. It was an interesting transition when I sit and look back on it because going to going going into boarding school and then coming out of boarding school and now living back home with your parent that you did not live home with for 5 years. But I still respect my mom. I did still afraid of my mother. Mother would have lick me down. What? So I could have got college one more time. She will lick me down. And she had her rules and stuff, and I already was like, what you call it? I want to say I was already used to certain rules and strictness and all of that. So it wasn't nothing to me to go back and live with my mom. I was not a rebellious kid. I was just more of a, okay, this is a rule. I'm going to follow it. So I went to Bronson Community College, went to nursing school, did that whole spas, graduated. Then applied to work at a clinic, did not work out, and then ended up getting through to work at UE. And oh my God, I have so many things to talk about. That journey was a crazy one. Like how I ended up working at UE. I not even did have a place to stay. I well accept job. Nah, know if I stay. I did have family in Kingston, but they never have nowhere to put me. And then at the time, I think, yeah, me and Ryan did a date, but it was pretty fresh. And I was like, so can I stay with you until I get housing on UE campus, University Hospital of the West Indies campus, like on the nursing residence. So I had applied to that and they did not have availability at the time. And I ended up staying with Ryan, and I think I stayed with him for a couple weeks, and then I got something. And then when I got something, the lady was like, oh, but you're going to share a room for like 2 months, and then we're going to get you in your own room. Tell me why we did a share room for almost 4 or 5 months. And then, oh my God, that lady was a mess. That lady that was running the nursing residence by the University Hospital of the West Indies were always a cuss off the nurse and but all on the door shock up. Sometimes I wonder if them did have daughters, grown ass daughters. Like she act like the nursing residence was her house. And even if people wanted to have relationships, that is on them to have their relationships in their room. That's, them act like said the room did have bathroom and kitchen in it. No. I can't wait to dive into all of this. Living on nursing residence at the University Hospital of the West Indies. Oh my God. I am going to get into that. So this is this is just basically an intro. I just wanted you guys to have an idea of who I am, where I'm coming from, and what you're about to expect in this podcast. Obviously, you can see me love talk. I talk for about 22-23 minutes now, and I am here for it. I love this. Like, I'm not on camera. I look a mess. I'm just coming in from work. This is basically work high. Okay. This is me coming from work and was like, okay, you dedicated these hours to your workplace. You need to dedicate these hours to your podcast. You need to dedicate time for yourself, just like you are dedicating your time for a corporation. And if you know me, I love to create. I love to do things. I love arts. I love theater. And I am here for this, right? I want this to become something that I can look back on and be like, you know what, Nisi, you did that. Like, you fucking did that. You did that. And then also my daughter can look back at it and be like, oh, this was mommy's story. And then tell her kids, this was mommy's story. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this intro here. But guys, stay tuned because in the next episode, Ryan is going to be my first guest, and he is going to be in the second episode, so stay tuned.
Why everything have to be about you, man?
Because I'm just that amazing.
Bun me, journal. Bun me, you see?
What?
Bun me? You could have come up with something else. Me and journal.
Oh
Them
my
disappear
God.
should I capture?
Oh my God, Ryan, that is so. Anyways,
Them disappear should I capture?
we already are record. So, hey Ryan.
Oh my God, you're wicked. You're wicked. You're wicked, someone. Oh my gosh, you're wicked.